What's up, mates? Welcome back to the RD podcast. I'm your host, Space Ranger Daniel. And in last episode, we talked about when I thought Kansas basketball peaked under Bill Self. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about another Big 12 team, West Virginia, and what I would call the West Virginia Bungie Cord under the career of Coach Bob Huggins. Because what we're going to see throughout this episode is that West Virginia really struggled to maintain momentum. There is going to be some amazing peaks in this episode, but there's also going to be some serious lows. And it's why I think that Huggins is a significantly weaker coach than Bill Self. Huggins is an amazing coach, and he's a future Hall of Famer if he isn't one already. But I think his lack of ability to keep momentum does hold him back a little bit. So let's begin. So Huggins' first season at West Virginia was the 2007-2008 year. So they finished the season ranked number 17. They were 26-11, and Huggins inherited a very experienced roster, and they had a ranked win versus number 10 Marquette, and they made it to the Sweet 16. So the team was led by junior forward Joe Alexander. So in the 2008-2009 season, the team finished 23-12, and this was a younger team than 2007. However, they still had some very impressive wins. They had 3 top 15 wins, and they never climbed higher than number 25. And they were bounced in the first round versus Dayton. So we're already seeing that you go from the Sweet 16 in a very experienced roster versus the next year you have a younger roster and then you get bounced in the first round. And this is going to become a little bit of a theme in terms of what we're going to see. So in 2009-2010, West Virginia was ranked number 6. They were 31-7. And this was an incredibly seasoned team, as they had Darryl Bryant, Deshaun Butler, and Devin Ebanks all returning from last year's lineup. And this will be Huggins' best season. They had 5 ranked wins, including a win over number 9 Villanova. And not only would WVU win the Big 12 or the Big East, because they were in the Big East at the time, but they would also advance to the Final Four, where they would lose to Duke. So, as you can see, in his third year, Huggins has already made it to the Final Four. So it is a demonstration of how good he is of a coach. And coming off of a first-round exit, you're already going to the Final Four. So quite incredible. So in 2010-2011, the team finished 21-12. And this was a step back. Devin Ebanks and Deshaun Butler, who had both left, and they were still led by NBA talent in Darryl Bryant, John Flowers, and Kevin Jones. So they had 5 ranked wins against Georgetown, number 8 Purdue, number 7 Notre Dame, and number 11 Louisville, and allowed the Mountaineers to climb to as high as number 21. But they were eliminated in the first round of the Big East tournament, as well as the round of 32. So WVU would take another step back in 2011 and 2012 when they finished 19-14 and were eliminated in the first round of 64. So in this year, Kevin Jones and Darryl Bryant were still leading the team, and they did have a ranked win over number 9 Georgetown. And with this season, along with 2011, showed was that the team was losing a lot more to unranked teams, as well as being unimpressive in league play and March Madness, which compared to just 2 years ago, whenever they went to the Final Four. So we're already seeing this kind of bungee cord of like an amazing peak, and then the next few years are really mediocre, if not outright bad. So, hold on, let me look at my notes here. So this mediocrity would continue into 2013 and 2014 when West Virginia missed March Madness both times, finishing 13-19 and 17-16 respectively. However, this was somewhat subsided in the 2014-2015 season when a transfer portal of seasoned veterans led WVU to a 25-10 record as well as a Sweet 16 appearance. And then Huggins was able to build on this success by taking advantage of returning players like Bill D. Williams to achieve a 26-9 record, and this was the first time they had a single-digit loss season since 2012. The team finished ranked number 8 with impressive wins over a ranked Kansas team and beating number 13 Iowa State and number 15 Baylor in back-to-back games. Now, Kansas would get their revenge in the Big 12 tournament, and they would get bounced in the first round. So, led by Javon Carter and James Bolden, two returning players, West Virginia fielded an impressive 28-9 record in 2016 and 2017, as well as making it to the Sweet 16 for the second year in a row, knocking off number 2 Kansas and number 1 Baylor. So, hold on. Let me see. Okay, yeah, so that's not true. So, the year before, they had not made the Sweet 16, or they might have. My notes are kind of all over the place. I'm sorry. I'll have to fact check that. I'm not sure. But in any event, so Carter and Bolden would return in the 2017-2018 season, where West Virginia fielded a 26-11 record, a second straight year in the Sweet 16, sweeping top 20 Oklahoma, as well as defeating number 15 Virginia. Okay, there you go. Yeah, so 2016-2017, they made the Sweet 16, and then in 2018, they made the Sweet 16 again. So, okay, my notes are accurate. I'm sorry about that. Just, making sure. Let me take a quick drink of water here. So, the loss of Carter and Bolden would prove to be a massive hit to WVU as they finished the next season 15-21. However, they rebounded the next year with a 21-10 record and a win over number 4 Baylor. Perhaps most important in 2019 and 2020, Huggins recruited Miles McBride, Oscar Techet, and Jalen Bridges, as well as veteran talent in the transfer portal. In 2020 and 2021, WVU finished the season 19-10, and they had wins over number 10 Texas Tech, number 23 Kansas, which would knock them out of the top 25, if you remember last episode, number 7 Texas Tech, so they actually swept Texas Tech on the season, and number 12 Texas, getting the Mountaineers to be ranked at number 6 at one point in the season before losing to Baylor, and they would actually get a number 3 seed, and this in many ways would be the peak of Huggins' career because, so this was the highest ranking WVU had seen since 2009, and, sorry, hold on, just kind of getting a measurement on my notes here. So for one thing, Huggins reached his 900th career win in 2021, which was incredibly exciting. But the team struggled down the stretch. They lost back-to-back games to Oklahoma State, one in the regular season, one in the tournament, before being eliminated in the second round versus the number 13th seeded Syracuse. And that's a bit misleading because Syracuse was a lot better than a 13th seed would otherwise have you believe. So in 2022, the losses of McBride, Culver, and Maccabee was a loss in talent WVU struggled to replace as they finished 16-17 and failed to make the tournament. In 2023, WVU managed to scrape back into March Madness with a 19-15 record with impressive wins over ranked Auburn and ranked Kansas State teams, but they were bounced in the first round, and Huggins, after being arrested for a DUI, elected to resign his position as head coach of West Virginia. So that wraps up the career of Huggins at West Virginia. And then I hope I demonstrated that, again, it was just, he struggled to maintain good momentum. Like, he had some, as I said before, he had some amazing peaks. He made it to the Final Four one year. He had West Virginia ranked as high as number 6 in 2021. They were number 3 seed that year. He had some amazing ranked wins. There was a year where he beat Kansas and Baylor, who were ranked number 2 and number 1 respectively. Like, he had some incredible seasons, but he just failed to fill the void of a lot of departing players. Sometimes it would take a year or two before he was able to replace veteran talent. And that happens, right? But if you look at other coaches like Mike Krzyzewski and like Bill Self, they're always able to funnel in NBA elite talent, and Huggins just wasn't able to. And then it showed in his, inability to consistently remain towards the top of the Big 12, even though they were always competitive and always good. So that's going to wrap up today's episode. I will see you guys soon. I'm putting together a couple of videos, so those will be out soon. But yeah, that's going to be all from me. Cheers.